Since I was a child, I always thought I lived with ghosts. Sometimes when I woke up, there was no one around me, but everything was moved, as if there were more people than just me. That remained the same even when I grew up. But I'm not talking about anything paranormal, because those ghost-like beings that I never saw were my family. My mother was a person who worked 2 shifts of 8 hours to support me. She would take me to her work even before dawn, where she would take 2 free benches to put them together and let me sleep, and then wake up and eat while waiting to be taken to class. That was possibly the longest time I saw my mother. Eventually, my father would take me to school every day, also being my biggest interaction with my father. I spent my vacations and weekends with my grandmother, and my mother's days off, well, I spent them with my mother. Plenty of times she had things to do, so I was left alone. I wasn't a scandalous or disastrous child, so people around me didn't worry about me doing anything. I also couldn't go outside, even with my mother inside the house. Outside is dangerous, you can't go out. So I just watched the children play from the balcony. I always play alone, no matter what house I was in. I love Play-Doh, but even more I love to create things. Did you saw my cane and hat? I made them myself. You see, this was a string and I lined it with foamy because I thought it would make a good hat. And this here was a tube that I glue a super to. Isn't it beautiful? I was thinking of making my mom a piggy bank and giving it to her when she gets back. Do you think she will be surprised and like it? With the time, I got into the habit of talking to myself and talking to my dolls, because deep down I wanted them to talk to me, even if there was the slightest chance. I wanted to have an imaginary friend like the ones on TV, so that I would never be alone. But even as the years I went by, I never got it. And for some reason that I never understood, people my age never listened to me. But no matter how many years I asked for the desire to listen to someone, have someone always with me, the wish never came true. By the time I was 10 years old, I knew how to cook, since I was very hungry because my parents were late. And while they were gone, I couldn't eat anything unless I made my own food. I was supposed to have a brother 8 years older than me taking care of me, but he barely looked at me. Even if I shouted right beside him, he didn't do the slightest thing to feed me. So in a couple of years, when I learned to cook better and I was in charge of the house cleaning, the contact was diminishing even more and more. I must not have been more than 14 years old when finally all the responsibility passed to me, making food even for my mother. It was then that I came to think that my family were ghosts, getting up and cleaning up a mess that wasn't mine, being at my computer, and then sleeping without using my voice at all. Once I lost count of how many days I hadn't spoken after a week. I stopped talking out loud at the end of elementary school because my brother was always yelling at me for it, as if I was sick in the head. As sad as it sounds, it's not like I wish my family was at home. In fact, it stressed me out since by now I'm used to always be alone, locked in my room. I can even tell a funny anecdote about the first time I visited my first friend's house. I had never seen so many people in one house since my first years of life. We were 6 people in the same room and I couldn't stand it. It was at that moment that I decided not to visit my friend's house unless there was no one or hardly anyone there, for my mental health.